The morning sun cast long shadows across the cobblestone courtyard of St. Andrews University as William Arthur Philip Lewis Windsor walked briskly toward his first art history lecture. It was September 2001, and the young prince had specifically chosen this Scottish university to escape the constant spotlight that followed him everywhere. He pulled his baseball cap lower over his face, hoping to blend in with the other students rushing to their morning classes. Kate Middleton adjusted her backpack straps as she hurried across the same courtyard, her long brown hair catching the autumn breeze. She had worked incredibly hard to earn her place at this prestigious university, and her parents had made significant sacrifices to afford the tuition fees. Unlike many of her wealthy classmates, Kate understood the value of every opportunity that came her way. The lecture hall buzzed with nervous energy as first-year students filed in, each trying to find the perfect seat that would set the tone for their university experience. William chose a spot near the back while Kate found herself in the middle section, 3 rows ahead of him. Neither paid particular attention to the other during that first class. Both focused on taking notes and making a good impression on Professor Sarah Mitchell. It wasn't until their 3rd week that they actually spoke to each other. The professor had assigned group projects analyzing Renaissance paintings, and William found himself paired with Kate and 2 other students named Emma and James. When they met at the library later that day, Kate was the only one who didn't seem nervous or overly excited about working with royalty. Right then, "Shall we start with the Botticelli piece?" Kate asked matter-of-factly, spreading her research materials across the wooden table. William was struck by how naturally she treated him, as if he were just another student struggling with art history assignments. Over the following weeks, their study group met regularly. William began to notice things about Kate that set her apart from other people he'd encountered. She never asked for photographs or special favors. She challenged his ideas during discussions without being intimidated by his title. When he made jokes, she laughed genuinely rather than the polite, careful laughter he was accustomed to receiving. One rainy Thursday evening, as they worked late in the library, Kate shared stories about her childhood in Berkshire. She talked about her parents' party supply business, her younger siblings Pippa and James, and her love for sports and outdoor activities. William found himself relaxing in a way he rarely experienced, sharing his own stories about life at Balmoral and his passion for conservation. "You know," Kate said quietly as they packed up their books, "I think you'd really enjoy the hiking trails near my family's home. The countryside there is beautiful, and there are never any photographers lurking behind trees." William smiled at her gentle joke about his constant media attention. "That sounds perfect," he replied, realizing he genuinely meant it. As autumn turned to winter, their friendship deepened naturally. They would grab coffee between classes, study together in quiet corners of the library, and attend university social events as part of their larger group of friends. Kate never pushed for anything more than friendship, which paradoxically made William more interested in spending time with her. During one of their coffee conversations, Kate mentioned her gap year travels to Chile, where she had volunteered and learned Spanish. Her eyes lit up as she described the landscapes and the people she'd met. William listened intently, impressed by her adventurous spirit and genuine care for others. "I've always believed that real experiences shape who we become," Kate said, stirring her cappuccino thoughtfully. "University is just one part of that journey." William nodded, thinking about how different this conversation was from the formal discussions he usually had with people who were constantly aware of his future role as king. With Kate, he could simply be a young man figuring out his path in life. Their friendship continued to grow stronger through shared study sessions, late-night conversations, and university activities. Neither seemed in any hurry to complicate things with romance, both content to enjoy the rare gift of an authentic connection built on mutual respect and genuine compatibility. By Christmas break, William realized that Kate Middleton had become more than just a study partner or university friend. She had become someone he could trust completely, someone who saw him as William rather than as a prince. As they prepared to go their separate ways for the holidays, he found himself already looking forward to seeing her again in the new year. The foundation of something extraordinary was being built quietly, far from the public eye, in the libraries and coffee shops of St. Andrews University. When the spring semester began in 2002, something had shifted between William and Kate. The Christmas break had given them both time to reflect on their growing friendship, and they returned to St. Andrews with a new awareness of each other. Kate had spent the holidays helping in her parents' business and thinking about the unexpected friendship that had developed with the future King of England. William had found himself missing their easy conversations and Kate's refreshing honesty. Their first meeting back at university happened by chance in the campus bookstore. Kate was searching for a textbook when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Struggling to find something?" William asked with a grin. Kate turned around, and for the first time there was a moment of shy awkwardness between them. "Just the usual impossible to find required reading," she replied, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. They walked together toward their next class, falling back into comfortable conversation, but both were acutely aware of something new in the air between them. William found himself noticing details about Kate that he hadn't paid attention to before. The way she laughed with her whole face, how she always smelled faintly of vanilla perfume, and the confident way she carried herself. The turning point came during a university charity fashion show in March. Kate had reluctantly agreed to model in the event to support a local children's charity. She was nervous about walking down the runway, having never done anything like it before. William, who was in the audience with friends, watched as Kate appeared in a stunning black dress that transformed her from the casual student he knew into someone breathtakingly elegant. As Kate walked down the runway, William felt his heart skip a beat. For the first time, he saw her not just as his intelligent, funny friend, but as a beautiful woman who commanded attention effortlessly. When their eyes met across the room, Kate gave him a small, nervous smile that made him realize his feelings had evolved far beyond friendship. After the show, William waited outside the changing area, suddenly nervous about talking to her. When Kate emerged, back in her regular clothes but still glowing from the excitement of the evening, he struggled to find the right words. "You were incredible up there," he said finally. "I was terrified," Kate laughed. "I kept thinking I was going to trip and embarrass myself in front of everyone." "You could never embarrass yourself," William replied, and the sincerity in his voice made Kate look at him more closely. They walked slowly back to their dormitories, taking the long route without discussing it. The conversation was quieter than usual, filled with meaningful pauses and stolen glances. When they reached Kate's building, they stood outside longer than necessary, neither wanting the evening to end. "Kate," William began, then stopped, running his hand through his hair nervously. "Yes?" she prompted gently. "Would you like to have dinner with me sometime? Just the two of us, I mean. Not as study partners or friends, but as—" He trailed off, suddenly feeling like a tongue-tied teenager rather than a prince. Kate smiled softly. "I'd like that very much." Their first official date was purposefully low-key. William picked a small restaurant in town where they could talk without being recognized or interrupted. Over candlelight and simple pasta dishes, they shared stories they'd never told anyone else. Kate talked about her dreams of working in fashion or art, while William opened up about the pressure he felt regarding his future responsibilities and his desire to make a meaningful difference in the world. "Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be completely ordinary," William confessed, "to make choices based purely on what I want, without considering constitutional implications or public opinion." Kate reached across the table and touched his hand gently. "You know, the extraordinary thing about you isn't your title. It's your kindness, your sense of humor, and the way you genuinely care about people. Those qualities would make you special, regardless of who your grandmother is." William looked into her eyes and realized he was falling in love with this remarkable woman who somehow managed to ground him while making him feel like he could fly. As spring turned to summer, their relationship deepened. They were careful to keep things private, understanding instinctively that public attention would change everything between them. They created their own little world within the university bubble, sharing quiet moments in hidden corners of the campus and stolen kisses when no one was looking. Kate proved herself to be the perfect balance for William's complex life. She was intelligent enough to understand the implications of dating the heir to the throne, yet confident enough not to be intimidated by it. She supported his studies and ambitions while maintaining her own identity and goals. By the end of their second year, they had become inseparable. William had found in Kate someone who loved him for who he was rather than what he represented. while Kate had discovered a partner who respected her independence and valued her opinions. Neither could imagine their life at university or beyond without the other. As their final year at St. Andrews approached in 2004, William and Kate faced the reality that their protected university bubble was about to burst. The outside world, with all its complications and expectations, was waiting for them. They had successfully kept their relationship private for over 2 years, but both knew that wouldn't be possible much longer. William grew increasingly anxious about what life after graduation would mean for their relationship. Late one evening, as they sat together in his room reviewing for final exams, he voiced his concerns to Kate. "After we graduate, everything changes," he said quietly, staring out the window at the Scottish landscape they'd both grown to love. "The press will find out about us. There will be photographers everywhere. Your life will never be private again." Kate set down her textbook and moved closer to him. "Are you trying to protect me, or are you having second thoughts about us?" The directness of her question caught William off guard. It was exactly the kind of honest communication that had made him fall in love with her in the first place, but it also forced him to confront his deepest fears. "I'm terrified," he admitted. "Not of loving you, but of what that love might cost you. Look what happened to my mother. The constant scrutiny, the invasion of privacy, the way the media twisted everything she did." Kate took his hands in hers. "William, I've known who you are since the day we met. I've had 3 years to think about what being with you might mean. I'm not naive about the challenges, but I'm also not going to let fear make our decisions for us." Her courage amazed him, but William still struggled with the weight of responsibility he felt toward her future happiness. As graduation day approached, the tension between them grew. They both sensed that photographers were starting to circle, trying to capture evidence of the rumored royal romance. The graduation ceremony itself was bittersweet. William's family attended, bringing with them the pomp and security that reminded everyone of his true identity. Kate's parents were there too, proud but nervous about the attention their daughter was receiving. Photographers captured images of Kate and William together, and within hours, her face was on newspaper front pages around the world. "William's girl" screamed the headlines, with detailed speculation about Kate's background, her family's business, and her relationship with the prince. The media attention was immediate and overwhelming. Reporters camped outside the Middleton family home in Berkshire. Kate's university friends were approached for comments and offered money for inside information about their relationship. For Kate, who had lived a relatively normal life despite dating William, the sudden media circus was shocking. She couldn't leave her parents' house without being photographed. Tabloid newspapers analyzed every outfit she wore, every expression on her face, every person she was seen with. William watched helplessly as the woman he loved became tabloid fodder overnight. His worst fears were coming true, and he began to question whether continuing their relationship was fair to Kate. The pressure from royal advisors was subtle but persistent. They suggested that perhaps it would be better to let things cool down, to give Kate space to live her own life. Meanwhile, Kate struggled to adapt to her new reality. She had found a job at an accessories company in London, but photographers followed her to work every day. Her colleagues were uncomfortable with the attention, and she worried that her presence was disrupting the business. Simple activities like shopping for groceries or meeting friends for coffee became complicated operations requiring careful planning to avoid paparazzi. Despite these challenges, Kate handled the pressure with remarkable grace. She never complained publicly, never gave interviews, and never seemed to court attention. Her dignified silence only made the media more interested in her story. The strain began to affect their relationship. William became protective to the point of being controlling, trying to shield Kate from situations that might attract unwanted attention. Kate, independent by nature, found herself feeling suffocated by the restrictions that came with dating the heir to the throne. Their conversations, once easy and flowing, became careful and tense. They argued about things they'd never disagreed on before: where to go for dinner, which friends to see, how to handle media attention. Both were learning that love alone wasn't enough to navigate the complex reality of royal relationships. One evening in London, after a particularly difficult day of dodging photographers, Kate confronted William about the growing distance between them. "We're becoming strangers," she said. "We used to talk about everything, and now we barely discuss anything that matters." William sat across from her in his apartment, looking exhausted. "I don't know how to protect you from all this." "Maybe the question isn't how to protect me," Kate replied. "Maybe the question is whether we're strong enough together to handle whatever comes our way." It was a conversation that would define the next phase of their relationship. Both realized they were at a crossroads. They could either grow stronger together under pressure or let the external forces tear them apart. The fairy tale romance of their university years was over, and the real test of their love was just beginning. As 2004 drew to a close, William and Kate found themselves fighting not just for their relationship, but for their right to choose their own future together, despite the challenges that choice would inevitably bring. The year 2005 brought new challenges as William and Kate attempted to build a life together outside the protective walls of university. William began his military training at Sandhurst, while Kate continued working in London, trying to establish her career while managing the constant media attention that followed her everywhere. The distance created by William's military commitments put additional strain on their relationship. He was often away for weeks at a time, training in remote locations with limited communication. Kate found herself facing the media scrutiny alone, without the support of the person who had brought this attention into her life. During one of William's longer absences, Kate's resolve was truly tested. A particularly aggressive photographer had been following her for days, making her feel unsafe and anxious. When she finally spoke to William on the phone that evening, her frustration boiled over. "I feel like I'm living in a fishbowl," she said, her voice strained with exhaustion. "I can't even go to the gym without someone taking pictures of me in workout clothes and analyzing my appearance in tomorrow's papers." William felt helpless, hundreds of miles away and unable to do anything concrete to help her. "I'm so sorry, Kate, I never wanted this for you." "I know you didn't," she replied. "But wanting something different doesn't change our reality." The conversation highlighted a fundamental issue in their relationship. Kate was bearing the burden of royal attention, without any of the official support or protection that would come with an engagement or marriage. She was in a difficult limbo, too connected to William to live a normal life, but not officially part of the royal family either. Their friends began to notice the strain. Emma, who had been part of their original study group at St. Andrews, invited Kate for coffee one afternoon in a quiet cafe away from central London. "You seem different," Emma observed gently. "More guarded, more careful about everything you say and do." Kate stirred her latte thoughtfully. "I suppose I am different. When every gesture might end up as a headline, you learn to be very conscious of how you move through the world." "Is it worth it?" Emma asked directly. Kate was quiet for a long moment. "I love him," she said finally. "But sometimes I wonder if love is enough when the circumstances are this complicated." Meanwhile, William was struggling with his own doubts. His fellow officers at Sandhurst were respectful but curious about his famous girlfriend. Some made casual comments about the media attention, treating it as entertainment rather than understanding the personal toll it was taking on both him and Kate. During a weekend leave, William visited his father to discuss his relationship concerns. Prince Charles, who had experienced his own complicated romantic relationships under public scrutiny, listened carefully to his son's worries. "The woman you choose to marry will face challenges that most people cannot imagine," Charles said thoughtfully. "But those challenges also reveal character. How is Kate handling the pressure?" "With more grace than I would have expected from anyone," William replied honestly. "But I can see it's wearing on her. I'm afraid I'm asking too much." "The question," his father continued, "is whether you believe she's the right person to stand beside you not just in the good times, but through everything that lies ahead. If she is, then you need to make that commitment clear to her and to the world. If you're not certain, then perhaps it would be kinder to both of you to step away now." This conversation forced William to confront a truth he'd been avoiding. Their relationship couldn't continue indefinitely in its current state. Kate deserved either a clear commitment to a future together or the freedom to build a life without the burden of royal expectation. When William next saw Kate, he could see the toll the past months had taken on her. She was still beautiful, still the strong, independent woman he'd fallen in love with. But there was a new wariness in her eyes, a careful quality to her smile that hadn't been there at university. They spent a quiet evening together at his apartment. both aware that they needed to address the elephant in the room. Finally, Kate brought up what they were both thinking. "We can't go on like this indefinitely," she said softly. "This limbo we're in isn't fair to either of us." William nodded, knowing she was right. "I've been thinking the same thing. The question is, what do we do about it?" Kate looked at him directly, her honesty as refreshing as it had been during their first conversations at St. Andrews. "I need to know if you see a real future for us together, or if you're just hoping that somehow the complications will resolve themselves." It was the moment of truth William had been both anticipating and dreading. Kate deserved a clear answer, and he owed it to both of them to be completely honest about his feelings and his intentions. "I love you," he said quietly, "but I'm terrified of what asking you to marry me would mean for your life. Once you're officially part of this family, there's no going back to privacy or normalcy." Kate reached for his hand.
"William, I lost my privacy the day the first photograph of us appeared in the newspapers."
The question now is whether we're going to face the future together or separately. As 2006 began, both William and Kate realized they were approaching a crucial decision point in their relationship. The easy romance of their university years had been tested by real-world pressures, and they had to decide whether their love was strong enough to withstand the unique challenges of a royal marriage. The spring of 2007 marked one of the most difficult periods in William and Kate's relationship. The constant media pressure, combined with William's demanding military schedule and the uncertainty about their future, had created a perfect storm of tension between them. What had once been a source of strength for both of them was now causing strain that neither seemed able to resolve. William found himself increasingly conflicted about the path forward. He loved Kate deeply, but he also felt the weight of responsibility for the dramatic changes her life had undergone since their relationship became public. During his military training, he was surrounded by fellow officers who lived relatively normal lives, and he began to wonder if he was being selfish in asking Kate to give up any chance of normalcy for a life with him. Kate, meanwhile, was growing, frustrated with the indefinite nature of their relationship. She had put her own ambitions and plans on hold, understanding that any major career moves would be scrutinized through the lens of her relationship with William. Yet after years together, she still had no clear indication of when or if their relationship would move toward marriage. The breaking point came during a weekend they had planned to spend together at a friend's wedding. William arrived late, having been delayed by military obligations, and seemed distracted throughout the event. Kate watched him interact with their university friends, many of whom were now settling down and starting careers, and she felt the stark contrast between their certainties and her own uncertain future. After the wedding, they drove back to London in near silence. Finally, Kate spoke up. "I feel like I'm putting my entire life on hold, waiting for you to decide what you want," she said quietly. William gripped the steering wheel tighter. "That's not fair. You know how complicated this situation is." "Complicated for whom?" Kate asked. "I'm the one who can't take a job that interests me because of media speculation about what it might mean. I'm the one who has to think twice about every friendship, every social engagement because of how it might be interpreted. Meanwhile, you get to continue with your military career as planned." William pulled over to the side of the road, and they sat in the car facing each other. For the first time in their relationship, there was real anger between them, born of frustration and fear rather than any lack of love. "I never asked you to put your life on hold," William said, though even as he said it, he knew it wasn't entirely true. "You didn't have to ask," Kate replied. "It happened automatically the moment I fell in love with you." That night, they had their most honest conversation in months. William admitted his fears about marriage and the responsibilities it would bring, not just for him but for Kate. Kate confessed her own doubts about whether she was strong enough to handle a lifetime of royal scrutiny and duty. "Maybe we need some time apart," William said finally, the words painful to speak but necessary, "to figure out what we really want, independently of each other." Kate nodded slowly, tears in her eyes but her voice steady. "Maybe we do." The decision to take a break was mutual, but that didn't make it any less heartbreaking. They agreed to step back from their relationship for a few months, to give each other space to think clearly about their future. The media immediately noticed Kate's absence from William's life. Photographers who had followed her for years suddenly found her staying close to home, declining invitations to events where William might be present. Speculation about their relationship, status-dominated tabloid headlines, but both William and Kate maintained their dignity by refusing to comment publicly on their personal lives. For Kate, the break was both liberating and lonely. For the first time in years, she could move through London without intense scrutiny. She took a job with her parents' business and began to reconnect with friends she'd neglected during the most intense period of media attention. She also had time to seriously consider what she wanted from life, independent of her relationship with William. William threw himself into his military training, trying to focus on developing the skills he would need for his future role. But he found himself missing Kate's presence in his life more than he had anticipated. Her absence made him realize how much he had come to depend on her support, her honesty, and her ability to ground him when royal life became overwhelming. During their time apart, both had experiences that clarified their feelings. Kate attended her friend's hen party and watched the bride talk excitedly about her upcoming marriage. She realized that what she wanted most wasn't just a relationship with William, but a real partnership with clear commitment and shared goals. William, meanwhile, found himself in social situations where he was expected to mingle with other suitable young women. The contrast with Kate was stark. No one else shared her combination of intelligence, independence, and genuine care for him as a person, rather than as a prince. After 3 months apart, William made a decision. He called Kate and asked if they could meet for dinner. They chose the same quiet restaurant where they'd had their first official date as university students. "I've missed you," William said simply when they sat down across from each other. "I've missed you too," Kate replied. "But missing each other isn't enough to solve the problems we were having." William nodded. "You're right. I've done a lot of thinking these past few months, about what I want, about what kind of life I want to build, and about what kind of partner I need by my side." Kate waited, not wanting to assume anything. "I want that partner to be you," William continued, "but not in the indefinite, uncertain way we were trying before. I want to build a real future together, with clear commitment and shared purpose." Kate felt her heart racing, but she needed to be sure they were talking about the same thing. "What exactly are you saying?" William reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm saying that if you're willing to take on everything that comes with marrying me, the good and the difficult, then I want to spend the rest of my life with you." It wasn't a formal proposal, but it was the commitment Kate had been waiting for. Their time apart had shown both of them that what they had together was worth fighting for, worth the sacrifices it would require. Following their reconciliation in late 2007, William and Kate approached their relationship with a new maturity and sense of purpose. The time apart had given them both clarity about what they wanted from life and from each other. William was more decisive about their future together, while Kate had developed a stronger sense of her own identity and the role she wanted to play as his partner. Their relationship resumed, but it was different from before. There was less uncertainty and more intentional planning for a shared future. William began including Kate in more official aspects of his life, introducing her to family friends and allowing her to attend events where she would be photographed alongside him. Kate, for her part, began quietly preparing for the role she would eventually take on, studying the monarchy's history and observing other royal women to understand the expectations she would face. The media noticed the change in their dynamic. Kate appeared more confident in public settings, and William seemed more protective and committed in his behavior toward her. Royal watchers began speculating seriously about an engagement, analyzing every piece of jewelry Kate wore for signs of a ring. In 2008, William completed his military training and began his role as a search and rescue pilot in Wales. This posting provided them with more privacy than London had offered, and Kate was able to visit him regularly without the intense media scrutiny they had faced before. The Welsh countryside reminded them both of their happy university days in Scotland, and they were able to rebuild their relationship away from the pressures of royal life in London. During this period, William began seriously planning how and when to propose. He knew Kate deserved a proposal that was meaningful and personal, not something rushed or influenced by outside pressure. He also wanted to ensure that she fully understood what she would be taking on as his wife. Kate, meanwhile, continued to handle media attention with grace while building her own interests and expertise. She became involved with charitable causes, particularly those focused on children and the arts, gradually developing the foundation for what would become her royal patronages. Their friends from St. Andrews began getting married, and William and Kate attended several weddings together. These celebrations served as both happy occasions and opportunities for them to envision their own future wedding. They talked more openly about marriage, children, and the kind of life they wanted to build together. In 2009, William decided it was time to have formal conversations with both Kate and her family about marriage. He met privately with Kate's father, Michael Middleton, to ask for his blessing. Michael was impressed by William's thoughtfulness and the genuine love he clearly felt for Kate. "She's always been strong and independent," Michael told William, "but I can see that you bring out the best in her, and she does the same for you." William also spoke with his own family about his intentions. His grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, had observed Kate carefully over the years and approved of her discretion, dignity, and positive influence on William. As 2010 began, William started planning the proposal in earnest. He wanted it to be private and meaningful, reflecting their journey together rather than the public spectacle their eventual wedding would become. He had decided to use his mother's engagement ring, wanting to honor Diana's memory while symbolizing the continuity between his past and future. In October 2010, William and Kate traveled to Kenya for a vacation with friends. William had carefully planned the trip to include time at a remote lodge where they could have privacy and beautiful surroundings. He had been carrying his mother's ring with him for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. On a warm evening, as they walked together near their lodge with the African sunset painting the sky in brilliant colors, William stopped and turned to face Kate. "Kate," he began, his voice slightly nervous despite his careful planning, "these past few years have taught me that I can't imagine my life without you. You've shown incredible strength and grace through everything we've faced together." Kate looked at him with growing understanding, her heart beginning to race. William got down on one knee and pulled out the ring. "Catherine Elizabeth Middleton, will you marry me?" Kate's immediate response was a joyful yes, followed by tears of happiness as William slipped the sapphire and diamond ring onto her finger. They held each other as the African sunset continued around them, both overwhelmed by the magnitude of the commitment they had just made. "I love you so much," Kate whispered, "and I promise you we're going to build something beautiful together." William felt a profound sense of rightness and completion. After years of uncertainty and external pressure, he had finally made the choice that his heart had been pointing toward since their university days. They spent the rest of their vacation in Kenya, enjoying their engagement privately, knowing that once they returned to England, their lives would change dramatically. Kate wore her engagement ring on a chain around her neck hidden under her clothes, savoring these last few days of privacy before becoming officially engaged to the future king. On the flight home, they talked about their wedding plans, their hopes for their marriage, and the life of service they would build together. Kate was no longer just William's girlfriend facing an uncertain future. She was his fiancée, with a clear role and purpose ahead of her. The young woman who had caught a prince's eye in a university art history class was about to become a princess, but more importantly, she was about to marry the man she loved and embark on a life of shared purpose and commitment. On November 16, 2010, William and Kate stood together in the ornate surroundings of St. James's Palace to announce their engagement to the world. Kate wore a navy blue dress that complemented her engagement ring perfectly, and both she and William glowed with happiness as they posed for photographers and answered questions from the media. "The timing felt right," William explained to reporters when asked about the proposal. "We'd been talking about marriage for a while, and it just seemed very natural." Kate, speaking publicly about their relationship for the first time, showed the poise and warmth that would define her public persona. "I'm very excited," she said with a radiant smile. "It means I get to spend the rest of my life with my best friend." The engagement announcement was met with worldwide celebration. The British public, who had watched Kate handle years of media attention with grace and dignity, embraced her as their future princess. International media praised the couple's obvious happiness and the fact that their relationship was built on a solid foundation of friendship and shared values. In the months leading up to their wedding, Kate underwent intensive preparation for her new role. She received guidance on royal protocol, media training, and education about the Commonwealth countries she would one day help govern. Despite the pressure of this crash course in royal life, she approached each lesson with the same dedication and intelligence that had served her well at university. William watched with pride as Kate transformed from his university girlfriend into a confident future member of the royal family. She never lost the qualities that had first attracted him to her, her warmth, humor, and authenticity, but she developed new strengths that would serve her well in royal life. The wedding planning process was both exciting and overwhelming. Kate worked closely with the royal household to plan a ceremony that would honor tradition while reflecting their personal style as a couple. She chose a dress by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen, keeping the design secret until the wedding day. The couple decided to have their ceremony at Westminster Abbey, the same church where William's parents had married 30 years earlier. As April 29, 2011 approached, London was transformed into a celebration venue. Millions of people lined the streets hoping to catch a glimpse of the couple, while billions more around the world prepared to watch the ceremony on television. The wedding had captured global imagination, representing hope and renewal for the monarchy. On the morning of the wedding, Kate woke up at the Goring Hotel, where she had spent her final night as a commoner. Her family was with her, providing the support and love that had sustained her throughout the years of public scrutiny. As she put on her wedding dress, Kate felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness about the day ahead and the life she was about to begin. William, meanwhile, prepared at Clarence House with his brother Harry as his best man. He felt calm and certain about the step he was taking, knowing that Kate was the right partner for both his personal happiness and his future role as king. When Kate arrived at Westminster Abbey in a state Rolls-Royce escorted by her father, the crowd erupted in cheers. Her dress was everything royal watchers had hoped for, elegant, timeless, and perfectly suited to the grandeur of the occasion. The train flowed behind her as she walked down the long aisle of the Abbey, past nearly 2,000 guests including heads of state, celebrities, and friends from their university days. William's face when he first saw Kate walking toward him became one of the most memorable moments of the ceremony. His smile was pure joy, and he could be seen saying, "You look beautiful," as she reached the altar. The ceremony itself was both grand and intimate. The Archbishop of Canterbury spoke about love, commitment, and service, themes that had defined William and Kate's relationship from the beginning. When they exchanged vows promising to love, honor, and comfort each other, their words carried the weight of genuine emotion and commitment. As they were pronounced husband and wife, and William kissed his new bride, the Abbey erupted in joy. Kate had officially become the Duchess of Cambridge, but more importantly, she had married her best friend and begun a new chapter of life dedicated to service and love. The couple emerged from the Abbey to thunderous applause from the crowds gathered outside. Their carriage ride back to Buckingham Palace was a celebration shared with the nation, as thousands of people cheered and waved flags along the route. Later, standing on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, William and Kate shared their first kiss as a married couple in front of the world. The crowd below cheered, and for a moment the fairy tale that had begun in a university art history class reached its perfect conclusion. But for William and Kate, the wedding was not an ending but a beginning. They had weathered years of public scrutiny, overcome relationship challenges, and emerged stronger than ever. As they looked out at the celebrating crowds, they knew they were ready to face whatever the future would bring. Together, their love story had captured the world's imagination because it was both extraordinary and relatable, a reminder that true love, built on friendship, respect, and shared values, can overcome any obstacle. The boy who had wanted to be ordinary and the girl who had made him feel normal had found their way to a love that was anything but ordinary, and their quiet goodbye to their private life had stirred millions around the world who believed in the power of lasting love.